Now, before we start, please make sure your phones are in a non-noise-making state and take plenty of pictures. These guys love to take pictures. I'm going to take a picture of them right now. Hey guys, come on. Yep, got one for Instagram. All right, so without further ado, here's Chris Marks.
Expect this kind of output, and it was just amazing, blown away. The first team, so this first team, when they pitched their game idea to me, I was really excited because they started describing how their level was going to be laid out. It reminded me of this game from when I was a kid called Smash TV. I don't know if anybody's heard of that in the crowd, but I loved that game as a kid. Anyway, they did a great job with their game. Please welcome Team Competidev.
Before we get into the details though, let's introduce ourselves if we can figure this out. Oh, alright, we're good. Alright, I am Joseph Trefetta. From left to right we have Joshua Loveland, Josh Green, Paul Bennett, and Ryan Meese wasn't able to make it today. Technical difficulties. Okay, so Mothership Mayhem is a fast-paced, third-person shooter that takes place on a mothership in space. Your goal is to escape this mothership while battling through waves of robotic enemies, but that all want you dead. So you play as a cyborg prisoner, that uses his arm that can attach different weapons to defeat his enemies. When these enemies are defeated, they drop energy sometimes that the player can store and use for upgrades later on. Loveland will go over that more in detail later. The final thing that you have as the player is rocket boots, which allow you to dash in any direction for a short amount of time. However, these take time to recharge, so use it wisely. This is ridiculously difficult. All right. In Mothership Mayhem, we wanted the player to feel really powerful, but only for a short amount of time. So we have a lot of different guns. You always start with the Shredder though, and then when you defeat enemies, they have a chance to drop a power-up weapon. These weapons last for a little bit, and when the power-up runs out, you go back to using the Shredder. It's a high rate of fire, low damage. It's a pretty fun gun to use. Alright, to talk more about our power-ups, they all have limited ammo, and this ammo depletes over time. So the best way to use these weapons is to use them often and shoot them as much as possible. The other last thing to note about these power-ups is that they overwrite each other. So for instance, if you have one with 50% ammo, and you pick up a new one, you lose the 50% ammo on the old one. So you have to use them and time them wisely. We have 3 different types of enemies in Mothership Mayhem. The first one is a small Oreo-looking bot. It is very fast, chases the player, has a small attack that surrounds itself, and they like to work in groups. The second enemy is a flying bot. It has its own agenda. It flies around the top of the room in a pattern, and it drops bombs. It also tries to steal the energy that its comrades are dropping when they die, so it's trying to inhibit the player as best it can. There we go, finally worked. The ranged bot tries to shoot enemies, or tries to shoot the player with bullets from a range. Occasionally it'll get mad that it can't hit you and go into a frenzy and start shooting a lot of bullets very, very quickly at you. These also try to capture the power-ups or the pulse emitters by shooting them, and I'll get to explaining more pulse emitter stuff right now. Okay. So our pulse emitters are our only environmental object in Mothership Mayhem. However, they are extremely complicated. They have 2 states. They have enemy-controlled states and player-controlled states. So while the enemy controls it, the player will be slowed. So the other enemies will catch up to you quickly, start dealing a lot of damage to you. While the player controls it, the enemies will be slowed. So you can actually run away from the enemies and catch them in that. They can use it to your advantage. They're placed throughout the rooms so that you can better strategize how to defeat the waves of enemies. Now, when you capture them by shooting them. So if the ranged bot shoots it, it'll go towards the enemy-controlled side, and if the player shoots it, it'll go towards his side. The cool thing about pulse emitters, though, is that when you shoot it with a power-up, they all have different effects. So you can see here that this power-up, or pulse emitter, has been shot with a piercer that gives it 8 beams that whirl around and will explode light bulbs when they go through. To explain how to win and lose, I'll pass it off to Joshua Loveland.
Everyone
give a quick round of applause for Joe here real quick. Just a side note, I'm not going to even attempt to click it, so I'm going to point towards Paul, tall man right there. He's going to do the clicking for me, so we'll go from there. So basically, what Joe did up to this point is show you all the little parts, all the little pieces that come to our game, and that's how we're going to show you from here on out what it comes to, what it adds up to. So basically, how to win comes in two parts. First is that it's a roguelike game, as in it's difficult. You're not meant to be able to finish the game every single time. So as you progress through these levels, as you find different power-ups, different scores, you're doing the best you can to survive and get the highest score. So not only are you trying to win, escape the game, and actually get off the mothership, you're also trying to get the highest score. So what, in general, what's the actual point of playing if you can't beat Joe's score? Not that much. So we like to try and push that part where the difficulty comes from trying to get the score. Alongside of that is your energy. Energy helps you play to your strengths. So if you like a certain power, you can continue to use it by spending some of your energy to increase the amount of time left on it. In the same way, you can use an EMP, which is another way of spending your energy. How to lose, that's our little thing we have together. He clicks for me. So from there, how to lose, you don't want to die. And then that comes to also back to the score. You don't want you too low to score. So you have to push yourself. You have to attempt different, more radical spots of trying to get to the score before you get surrounded, as well as finding your routes throughout the level. So in the end, this all comes down to what our game mainly is. Mayhem. Not only are the levels different, but the number of enemies coming in, different doors they come within, as well as the room layouts. And our levels are actually randomized. Different placements they're going to be, and the levels themselves are completely different through every playthrough. A lot of our aspect of our game we want is actually true replayability, which is done both by the randomization as well as the different enemies themselves. And how we did this with the enemies is actually through our AI director. If you can click real quick, go to the next slide. The AI director is basically like an overlord. If you think of every enemy in the game, our three different types, they're actually very simple. They know how to attack and they know how to move. The AI director, which is just like an overseeing eye, that basically points and tells each enemy where to go. And partially how they do this is through a nav mesh, which is an aspect of the AI director that we worked hard in the beginning so that we could direct our enemies around. Not only does this allow enemies to navigate the rooms, it also allows them to keep track of the flow. How many are going one direction, how many going another. This allows us to kind of scope in the game to give you a different experience, and if you are standing in the same corner the entire time, which you most likely won't. Beyond that, it basically comes down to increasing and decreasing the difficulty, seeing how the player is doing at that point. So if there's too many enemies starting to get around the player, we actually consider them herds, and we start dispersing them by sending them on different routes or making them shoot off in different directions. Next slide, we'll start talking about what went right, basically as our overall project. So from the beginning, we had a good idea of where we're going, and this helped us become adaptable. So we didn't really have all the specific points, but as we got feedback from our product owner, Chris Marks, if you saw a little bit earlier, he helped us and showed us, well, you guys really need something, this line of feature, something like this. And so we went back, talked for about half an hour, and we got something going, and within a week, we could usually get another feature up there pretty quickly. This helped us in the long run that we can make our game fun without being trying to keep an original idea there the entire time. We also had varied expertise, as in each of us had an idea of what we wanted to work on within the game. This helped us so we weren't overlapping or trying to do each other's work, but let us work in where we did well. It was also a very well-scoped game in the sense that we had 5 months. And it helped that we had single rooms being displayed at one time. We could put a number of enemies, let us put a large number of enemies as well as objects in a single room without having to worry about the normal issues with what you find in a game at this level of time. When it went wrong, well, idea at the end, we did only work in our areas of expertise, and it's made it so it's very difficult to actually help each other. The other part is heat corruption, which is basically a bug that, well, it really hurt us. About a week we're working on a single bug. And the same idea, there's an idea called code freezes. This usually means you wait like a couple of days and then That's your final build turn-in. We usually perform the code freeze roughly 30 seconds before turn-in. And this kind of made it difficult in the long run trying to keep a game code clean and good for turn-in. But in the end, it worked out pretty well. We got a lot in usually in those last few minutes. And from here, we're actually going to see the game played. We'll have Josh Green be playing it. Paul will be giving you the lowdown on what's actually going on. So give a round of applause for Green and see how he plays.
Get it set up here in just a moment. Everybody ready to see some Mothership Mayhem? All right. See our wonderful Cash Money Studio logo, our not so wonderful Competidev logo, and wonderful N+1 sound system. Get some settings set up real quick here. We're not going to play too late today because we're feeling risky. Now, right as we go in here, you can see the doors above are turning red, and that means they're spawning enemies. And those great things are popping out of them, that's the energy. You see the bar in the upper right is slowly increasing each time he picks up the little green bars. Those little Oreo-like enemies are light pots. May not seem too threatening right now, but a little bit later, they get kind of scary. You'll see them. You just got the destroyer. You can charge it up and fire this huge plasma ball. It's excellent against single and larger groups of enemies. Or you can fire it in bursts like that. And back to the shredder. That's our powers we're using for a short amount of time. Here's that. There's the piercer, our giant laser gun. You should clean this room, so now he's going to move on to the next one. Hold up the level map for a second there, just to see where he's going, and then how's random generation treated him this time. In the middle of this room is our pulse emitter. If he shoots it, it's now his, and will only slow the enemies instead of slowing him as well. And the range bot actually just shot the pulse emitter, which means that it'll go back to slowing him into the shot. There's our shotgun, the spreader. And when he shoots that, the pulse emitter starts emitting tons of bullets everywhere. Now that little red line is a sign of the flying bot. So you can drop bombs, which are too threatening unless you actually get hit by them, then they're devastating. There's our piercer on the pulse emitter in the center. And here's the shocker, our lightning gun. Basically you aim at something and you shoot it, and then it shoots a bunch of stuff around it. It keeps chaining from enemy to enemy like a chain lightning thing. Take a few hits from the range bots in the room. They just keep firing at you no matter where you are. Give your dash more, Green. Gotta get the flying bot now. There's our boomer. It's basically our grenade launcher gun. Takes a little while for it to activate the pulse emitter. Once it does, it'll release an AoE explosion. It'll hit everything around it. Room complete. There's that room, flying that down. Now this room is our bonus room. It's spawned randomly in each level. We've got a bunch of score and a health pickup in the middle. We're going to go ahead and pick up the health pickup so we can save some life and be ready to go on further along. Enemies detected. Oh no, now in this room here's our formation. Sometimes light dots will form up into a larger formation. Formation incoming. And this one is a bow. It's going to try to shoot him. It's a little slower, but when it does hit him, it's going to hurt. Like that. Oh, there's our destroyer, which is excellent for taking down formations. One more hit, and it might just be dead. There's the formation down. The destroyer is amazing for taking down formations. I was very lucky. Use our piercer to clean up everything left in the room here. Oh, there's another formation coming. This is the hammer. Formation is smash him now. First we shot him, now we smash him. This guy's not very lucky. Boomer. Boomer to clean it up. Might still be able to get him. And there's the hammer down. See, our power-ups are extremely powerful while you still have them. Peter says full energy bar, which means he can exit the level whenever he
Enemy detected.
Here's another formation. This is our flying bot room.
Formation incoming.
Here's just take it down.
Formation incoming. Formation incoming.
There are actually several different formations in this room, all going at you at once, so it's going to take a lot of damage from the thing that we're going to take that up first. Smart move. Now, in each of these formations, you see the red highlighted enemies, the ones you have to kill to break the formation apart. Once you do that, it'll break, and it should become a bunch of light bots. Well, considerably less scary. There's a destroyer again, which is great for taking up formations.
Here, sir. Room clear.
With that room clear, he's going to move on to the final room of the level. You're almost there, Green. Almost have full another energy bar, though, so you can also use an EMP. Now, in this room, modification is activated. That means he's going to drop more score, which is very good. This looks like a spider with range bots and light bots. It's going to take some damage here. And you can see him focusing on the red enemies, so they can break apart the formation faster and be considerably safer. Get one of the range bots. Get one of the red ones.
Piercer.
And there's a piercer to take down some of the rest a lot faster.
Shocker.
And the shocker up in the air. Just has a little bit more to go. One more red target. With this destroyer, give me formation on it. That drops tons of score. Just gotta clean it up now, and we'll be clear of this room.
Room clear.
Alright, and there's our teleporter for the end of the level. Can you make it to the end, Green? I don't know, it's right there. You walk into this,
Enemies detected.
and now he's in the second level of the game. Pulled up, and that's what he's got. You gotta get to the teleporter. Oh, what are you doing, Green? Oh, okay, there you go. Scared me for a second there. You just EMP to clear the entire room at once. It took a lot of damage in the process, though. You gotta keep moving around. Slowly taking them down. Now here, in the second level, a lot more light bots are going to spawn, so it'll be a rough time for them. And you can see the light bots are diving at him, which means they're a little bit too far away to be able to hit him normally. They can still damage him that way. Getting really low on health here. Think he can make it, Green? I don't know.
Piercer.
I think maybe a little bit of encouragement. Let's get close, guys. Can you make it a little bit louder? Come on, Green. There's just a sliver of health left. Oh! And that's Mothership Mayhem. Thank you, everybody. Well, our credits are up on the screen. We'll accept questions at either of the two microphones up here. And it's always Miller.
How's it going?
It's going well.
All right, good job up there, guys. Really happy to see it up on the big screen finally. I love your credits, by the way. But my question is, those formations look awesome. And you talked a little bit about your nav mesh system, but I was wondering if you could talk about how you got the formations to work.
I'm going to pass that off to Loveland, who worked on our AI the most.
So for formations, basically it's a second animation system within it. Outside of that, there's also points in the animation where we actually create events. Basically, as it gets to a spot like the bow, when it's shooting up, when it fires down, that's an event part of the animation. So as it's pulling the bow, that's an animation, and then when it hits, that's part of the event. That's where we play the sounds of the images, all those parts. So basically, we have a second editor where we made these, and then we just post them into the game.
Oh, well done. Look great.
Thank you, thank you.
Your AI director seems like a pretty powerful tool. How exactly does it tell the enemies what to do? Is it a enum and switch state system, or are you telling the robots like different function pointers to run this function to do this thing?
Okay, so for an overall standpoint, each of the enemies have their own state system, and they're very simple. So basically, there's one while they're in formation, one while they're entering into the game, so from their beginning into their endpoint, and when they go into the room, and then while they're basically everything else. So movement, their attack states and all those parts are all one. Now, what they're going to be doing is comes from the AI director, which is basically there's multiple trackers in there, each of them going through each of these, each time the game's going through each of these loops. It looks at all these different points and keeps track. So it measures how many people are in a certain area, that's what we call a herd, and then we start dealing with them like a herd, and we tell them that's what they're going to be doing. So they go in a small few directions, and you move up and then down over here, and that'll be how we disperse that one guy. And it'll do that for all of those enemies, and it goes to each of those groups.
All right.
If that made sense, I'm not sure if I went a little quick.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Your game looked great, guys. I was wondering, for the things you had on the level that appeared to be kind of had a neon kind of look to it, how do you guys make those?
Actually passes off to our rendering guys. It's the only reason we have stuff on screen.
Okay, can you repeat your question for me, please?
Yeah, for the stuff that appeared to kind of look like neon, how did you make that?
The emissive. Yeah, it's an emissive map. So just like you have a specular map, which makes the player appear shiny, or you have a normal map that makes it look indented, it's an emissive map. And you apply that, I actually had some help with the course director, but he helped me figure out that during the ambient light, you bring, because technically your game is full brightness, right? So everything is fully lit. And then ambient light actually brings everything down to a darkness state like you would see in actual real life. From there, what happens is you just add your emissive colors, which makes things like the floor or the walls look very, very bright, because it's supposed to be a light source, so to speak. And then from there, you do your regular lighting calculations, so that will bring like all the other things up. So you have a spotlight, that'll bring that area up, or point lights will bring the other areas of the game up, and actually just add to the emissive even more. So the more lights, the even brighter the emissive will get.
Thanks, guys.
So when I first started working with this next team, to be honest, I was a little skeptical of their ideas. I was a little nervous about the game idea. I wasn't really sure where it was going. But after everything was over, what they turned out with was one of the most original and fun games I think I've ever played. It's a very original concept, and I think you guys will enjoy it too. So please welcome Team N+1.
Hey everyone.
Hey.
Thanks for coming. Let's get the presentation up, shall we? Cool. We are Team N+1 of Half Space Studios. My name is Josh. We have Eric and Scott and Fong. We are here to present Way of the Warlock. Awkward silence. Woo! There we go. Alright, Way of the Warlock is a first-person dungeon sprint, where players will traverse through the dungeon, hack and slash their way through enemies, and all kinds of different things. But now the kick is, it's a two-player game. So each player has their different abilities. They can either boost to help themselves or hinder the other player, or they can spawn enemies onto the other person's screen and hinder them that way. Now, we all have all kinds of different enemy types, so to go over those, I'm going to hand it off to Eric.
Thanks, Josh. So we have 4 enemy types as well as our boss, the Warlock. So our first enemy type is the Eye of Death. Now the Eye of Death simply spins his blades in order to attack. But what you need to watch out for is while his blades are spinning, while his blades are spinning, the player will you can't deal damage to the Eye of Death. Our second enemy type is the Envato. Now the Envato attacks is our simple melee enemy, and he will simply walk up to the enemy, walk up to the player, and once he's within range, he will charge up his attack, and then the player needs to get out of the way before the Envato finishes his attack. There we go. Our third enemy type is our Arcus, which is our ranged enemy, and he will attack by shooting 3 consecutive bolts of magic at the player. But also, if the player gets in close, the Arcus will also teleport to a new location, and you have to go find where he went and attack him again. Okay, now our fourth enemy type is the Molitor, and he's a little bit different. He doesn't have a specific attack that he does. He simply will charge at the player at full tilt, and he will only stop if he hits either the wall or the player. If he hits a player, he'll deal a lot of damage and knock the player back. If he hits the wall, the Molitor will get stunned, and that is the chance for the player to go in and deal damage. And now our boss is the Warlock, and he has 5 stages. The first 4 stages are simply duplicates of the enemies. But the 5th stage is a little different. It's the Firestorm. And so what he will do is he will teleport to a location within the boss room, and he will shoot a barrage of magic bolts at the player, and the player needs to dodge. And he will do this for a short amount of time, and then he will be vulnerable for a short amount of time as well. Yeah. Okay, so in order to talk about spawning, boosting, and tech, here's Scott.
Okay, so by this point you're probably wondering, what you've described is cool and it's a single player game, but you said it was competitive and it was multiplayer. How is it multiplayer? How is it competitive? Well, here's what makes it fun and competitive. I'm going to start off by talking about our boosts. Now, our boosts are the ways that our players interact with one another. If you look in the bottom picture, you'll see a chain right beneath the health bar. The chain increases over time. Once it hits the box on the right, the player will get a boost. The roulette wheel will spin. It's very similar to getting an item in Mario Kart. So once you get it, you can activate it. Now, boosts are activated in different ways. Some can be used to help push you ahead of your opponent. Others can be used to slow your opponent down. So some example ones that we have that hand, which I'll explain in a little bit. We have a shield, which increases defense and a full heal. We've also got several others. These are just examples. Okay. This is our steal boost. So what the steal boost does is it actually steals 50 spawn points from the other player. So you can kind of see in this picture here, the top player just used it, and he's stealing a little bit of points. You can see the start of the effect. But now you're probably wondering, well, Scott, what are spawn points? And that kind of leads me into our spawning system. Spawning is the ability to send one enemy into your opponent's dungeon. So you can select it with the spawn window, which is the bottom picture. You can switch through it, and if you have the points to spawn it, it'll have a yellow background. You can do it by getting spawn points, which I previously mentioned, and those are obtained through killing enemies and just general progression. So as you can see here in the top picture, the top player is getting something spawned on him. It's a little bit hard to see, but there's an effect in the middle of his screen, and there's the word incoming at the bottom of it. That's pretty much saying, get ready, there's a new enemy on its way. In the bottom picture, there is the new enemy. We kind of distinguish that enemy with the circle effect that's around him, and I really want to talk about this because it's our tech, and something we're very, very proud of in our game is our effects. As you'll notice throughout the game, we have a lot of really cool effects. One of my favorites is the fire effect on our torches. They're pretty awesome. But what I really want you to focus on is in the picture there, there's a yellow circle. In game, what this is it's ready, it's getting the player ready for the next wave of enemies that spawns in. It gets bigger and it spins, and it just gets ready for the enemy. It shows you where they are. This is that same effect in our editor. We have a lot of control in the editor. We can affect the spin on it, how big it gets, how many there are, how long it lives. We can affect everything with our editor that we had built in these 5 months. It's a very impressive editor, and we're very proud of it. Now, to talk about these past 5 months, I'm going to hand it off to Josh.
Alright, so whenever we first started Final Project, they didn't exactly follow feedback very well. Instead of focusing on implementing a feature and getting it complete, we focused on getting as many features in as we can and just trucking through them, and whatever works, works. So that led to a bit of a few issues. But the main thing that led to was the installer. In the end, we didn't really test enough, and at the end of one of the months, we had it crash on the installer, and that wasn't fun. But we definitely learned our lesson, and some things went very wizard. We came back after that month, and we did a massive redesign of the game. We got a new product owner, Chris, and we changed up a lot of some of the features, like the boosting and the spawning. One of the things that worked really well, though, was our collaboration. We are a very good team. I think that we agreed on pretty much everything we worked on. We never really bickered. Sometimes we bickered, but insult each other, sarcasm, you never know. But we were always friendly with each other, and we always agreed on the same things. And that led to an extremely solid design here at the end, like Chris mentioned. And are you guys ready to see it? Yeah. Woo! Let's do this. All right, so you're going to still listen to me, but the only reason is because I'm the best at this game. They started calling me Master Warlock. It was weird. So Fong is going to be player 1, and he's going to be on the top. What I'm going to do is I'm going to commentate on most of his actions, so pay attention to the top player. Eric is going to be on the bottom screen as the second player. Alright, yeah, go with the options. It's a little dark, please. Just brighten it up a little bit. Boss is just staring you down. He's ready to set these players to their doom. I am too. Let's get into this, guys. Come on. Let's go. Let's go. Alright, who think Eric's is going to win? You think Eric's going to win? Okay. Who thinks Fong is going to win? We got a quick intro here just to kind of show you what the dungeon's going to look like. Okay, track all the way back to the beginning of the dungeon. See some of the enemies. All right, prepare yourselves, players. Here we go. All right, so we've got the first enemy. We've got the Envato. He's going to charge up his sword. That's his tell for the attack. You can just go around him, take him out pretty easily. All right, now the second enemy type's the Arcus. He's a little bitty. You gotta look out for him. But you just avoid his shots, and it's not a big deal. Come on, Fong. You gotta dodge that. Now, I don't know if you noticed the seal on the door, but it stays there. That's a lock on the door. The door's not gonna open until all of the enemies in the room are defeated, not counting player-spawned enemies. All right, here's the Eye of Death. You're just gonna have to swing at him when he's stationary. Alright, Fawn, you got a boost. Eric's getting ahead. I think you need to use it. Why don't you add some points? But you still don't have enough to spawn. Alright, now both players are trying to fight the Molotov, and you can see how that's going. Oh, looks like Eric just spawned an enemy onto the top player, onto Fawn's screen. He spawned in Nirvana. We've got the marker, the blue marker, to tell that it's a spawn enemy. You can skip it if you want to, and go on to the next room. The firewall there indicates that the player cannot backtrack. The only way you can backtrack is by death. Alright. Fong's got the slow boost. I think he should use it soon. What that does is that's going to slow Eric down right there, and he moves even slower. It's brutal. There he goes. He dies. Come on, Eric. Okay, now when you die, you're just going to go back one room from the room you were currently in. The player spawn enemies don't go away. But the Warlock spawn enemies, they can disappear in the back as you enter the room. Looks like they're both stuck in the same room. It's neck and neck. This is exciting. I don't know who's going to win, guys. This is fun. Oh, Fawn died. Eric's having to battle 3 enemies at once. Man, Eric is winning. Come on, Fawn, keep it up. Get rid of that Molotov. Let's go! Fong, I think you need to spawn some enemies. You've got 100 points. You can spawn anything. Just do anything. Have you guys noticed the torch effects, or any effects at all? They're everywhere. Fong did just about all of the effects. They're fantastic. We're glad that he did all of them. It's impressive feedback. Alright, Fong's getting close to the boss here. I noticed the lock on the door. It's a different color, indicating that the next room is where the boss is. These Arcuses get a little tedious because they can teleport just all over the room and you gotta go find them. Alright, Fong has made it to the Warlock. We had the health meter show up on the right side of the screen. That's the boss's health meter. And it changes per stage. It's going to update depending on which stage he's in. Alright, here he comes first with the Eye of Death stage. We're just going to take him out, not a big deal. Come on, Fong, you're invincible. Get after him. Oh, it was invincible. It went away. Looks like Eric is having to deal with both the Marcus and the Warlock in the Arcus stage, so there's a lot of dodging bullets going on. He's not doing a good job of it. Now he's at the Arcus stage. They're preparing. Is he gonna get him? And he gets him. Fong, this is your chance to catch up. He's got to respawn. You're getting a boost soon. Let's hope it's something good. Alright, now he's in the Molotov stage. He's too cool to charge. He's got magic, so he's just gonna fly at you. Looks like Fong got the shield. Prevents the knockback, so he can just take it out a little bit easier. Oh, it's salty, isn't he? Alright, there's the Firestorm stage. Whenever he grows and becomes yellow, he's invincible, so you can't hit him while he's firing at you. Alright, now it's neck and neck. We're both at the Firestorm stage. Oh wait, no, Fallen, look at him go. He's gonna just tear him to pieces. Come on, Eric, can you beat him? Who's gonna win, guys? There's the ball. Bob's the winner!
Hey guys, awesome game. I first off want to say I really liked the transition of showing the whole entire dungeon when you start. I thought that was really awesome. And as for my question, I wanted to know, your game looks like it has a lot of room for a lot of different power-ups and enemies and everything and making it more interesting. I was wondering if you guys had anything planned that just happened to get cut that was really awesome, or?
Yeah, we had a lot of things planned. Like, this is probably half of what we originally wanted. So we did get in all of our enemy types. We did, however, originally have plans for a ranged player class, so that you could choose to be melee or range. We also had plans to have AI, so you could play it by yourself instead of needing one other person. Networking, dungeon editor, yeah, we had a lot of plans. Yeah, we had more boosts planned too. So there were a lot of things that got cut, but we're still pretty happy with what made it in.
Oh yeah, it's definitely awesome. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hi guys. Great game. Awesome effects too. I was really blown away by all the incredible stuff I just saw just now. A question about why you chose to have a more like a competitive co-op play instead of focusing more on like a single player experience driven for this particular game.
This really just came up during design. We were up pretty much all night the night before our presentation was due, and we're trying to figure out what would make a really cool game. And so we originally started out with like a Hexen idea. Hexen's this old game from the 90s. It's a good game though. But then we're like, what would be a really cool twist on this? And somehow or another, multiplayer came up. And so we're like, well, what would be pretty cool about an old style game with multiplayer? And then everything kind of just came together. So.
Thank you.
Great game, first. Second, why did you decide to do like a split screen rather than do networking?
There's a couple reasons. First off, screen watching is encouraged. If you're about to spawn something, maybe your opponent sees that and uses the spawn prevention boost, which I don't think we saw in the gameplay. Or you see that he's really close to dying, so you choose to spawn a Molotov. There's a lot of reasons with it, but it also goes back to we wanted an old style game, because it's kind of an old style gameplay. And networking's also, it's a lot of extra work for a game, especially for 5 months, so we didn't really want to touch that too much. So we did try, but we didn't have enough time for it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you guys for coming to check out our game. If you want to download it, you can go to gameproject.fullsail.com and enjoy your time in Florida. Thank you.
All right, give it up one more time for Team N+1. All right, we've got one more team. This next game, what I have to say about it is I've never seen this level of polish get put into a game, I don't think, and these guys went above and beyond with just getting so many features in and so many nice looking things. The game turned out great. I just want them to show it to you already, so give it up for Team NULLsleep.
How's it
it going, everyone? Woo! We're going to get set up real quick, and then we'll get started. Wow, there's a lot of friendly faces here today. Really excited to see you. All right. So while he's getting set up, just come over here. This is my spot. Oh, wow, we have screens and everything. This is awesome. Have you guys been enjoying your time here? Woo! Really? Come on, guys. You guys been enjoying your time here? Woo! I like it. All right, looks like we're ready to rock and roll. All right, everyone. So, thank you for coming out to see our game, Synthetic Soul. It was made by us here at Team NULLsleep of Cash Money Studios. Allow me to introduce ourselves. On my left is JD Parsley, Joshua Bramer, and Nate Orr. My name is Ryan Miller. Philip Sullivan couldn't be up here on stage with us today, but I'm going to make a terrible joke since he's not here and say that he's here in Seoul. Bramer's my clicker. Clicker. Thank you. So, what is Synthetic Soul? Synthetic Soul is a first-person shooter, which means there's going to be really cool explosions. It takes place in a futuristic city, which means those cool explosions are going to be futuristic cool explosions. And it's got unique battlefield events, which means they're going to be huge, really cool explosions. Now, what's the objective of the game? The objective of our game is to try and stop an evil AI overlord known as Ocellus. Ocellus was a friendly helper AI that tried to run the town and help the mayor do his tasks. But one day, he was given a little bit too much power. And as we've learned from historical documentation, such as the movie Terminator, when you give AI too much power, things go bad. So now, Ocellus has taken over the city, including the city's defenses, which are giant frickin' mechs. So we need to be able to stop these giant frickin' mechs. How are we going to stop all these mechs except with another mech? Click. So the player is Commander Archretic. Commander Archretic, as it says up there, is a war hero and a mech pilot. He's been brought in to try and stop Ocellus from taking over the city and then the world. Now, he's going to be given a prototype mech that's pretty strong and has some special abilities, but he's not going to be going in alone. He's going to be going in with a special AI known as Sarah. Sarah is a brand new AI specifically designed to stop Ocellus from destroying the entire world. Now, Sarah's a little bit new, so she's kind of learning as she goes, but she's the only way that we can stop Ocellus. But how are we going to be able to fight our way to the center of the city and stop him? Well, with weapons, of course. Click. Starting with the chain gun. Now, these are going to be covered in detail in the in-game tutorial, so I'm just going to skim over them a little bit. The chain gun is your primary weapon. It has a large amount of ammo, so you can keep shooting all day long and not have to reload too often. And the next weapon is my personal favorite, the shotgun. Now, this bad boy here is great for taking down enemies at close quarters because it does a lot of damage and it spreads its fire. It's also really good for hitting those mechs that try to dodge you, which JD will be talking about in a little bit. Next weapon, last but not least on our list of mech-killing weapons, is the rocket launcher. This is a single-shot weapon, meaning you have to reload it after each shot, so you have to take a lot of time to aim this weapon, but when it hits, explosions, as I mentioned. So we have a lot of damage in a large area, but it doesn't have much ammo, like I said, so today when Bramer plays, he's going to have to be very accurate and not miss. All right. But it's a prototype mech, which means we have a prototype ability. The Rage ability. Now the Rage ability, when you get hit by the enemy, so when you take damage or deal damage, it fills up a bar that we have scientifically named the Rage bar. When your Rage bar is at a certain percentage, you can activate it and then go into Rage mode. While you're in Rage mode, you'll get a little bit of your shield back, your weapons will be stronger, they'll reload faster, and most importantly, all the enemies near you when you activate Rage mode will be stunned for a short period of time, permitting Bramer to go and blow them all up. Alright, now I'm going to pass it off to my compatriot here, JD Parsley, to tell you a little bit more.
So, you might be asking, what are you going to use those weapons on? Well, we've got some things to stand in the player's way, such as turrets. You can see here one of our two varieties, the burst turret. This is primarily used to help the player with projectiles and just kind of annoy them. It will not do that much damage on its own, but it will keep your shields from regenerating. In addition, we have a rocket type, which will do a lot of damage at once, but it takes some time for it to recharge. So put them together and you'll have something that you actually have to worry about. We also have our light mechs. These are very similar to the burst turrets in that they just help the player, but these are different in that they will actually move around the map.
These are intended to be a bit more of a threat than the turrets. We also have a variation on these maps, the elites. These are mostly the same, but they have a slightly higher rate of fire, a bit more armor on them, and they also have the ability to turn invisible. Finally, we have our heavy mech. This is our biggest enemy. It's the one that has a lot of health, takes a lot of fire to take down, and has 3 different abilities to attempt to hurt the player with. Primarily, it's going to use a volley, which is just a sweeping arc of missiles, a barrage, which it will launch 1 missile up into the air, which will split into multiple and rain down on the player. And then there's a bull rush, which is just a charge, and he tries to body slam you. In order to help the player out, we've got different supply crates that are dropped by the enemies. We've got health pickups and ammo pickups. We also have an ammo station for when you find yourself low on ammo, but no enemies around to drop a crate. Additionally, we have computer panels, which don't particularly like the player. They're there to help seal doors and keep the player from progressing on beyond where they should be. Fortunately, our mech is equipped with Sarah to help hack them open. And speaking of doors in the levels, I'd like to talk a bit about our map editor, which is a piece of tech we use to generate our levels. The map editor was created by one of our teammates, and it's used to create the levels by dragging boxes around and creating the map. It gives us a lot of benefits in that it lets us create levels faster, it lets us iterate on our level design, and we can easily see where things are going to be before actually putting the level in game. Now to talk about some of our trials and triumphs, I'm going to pass it back to Miller.
Serious time now. Is anyone here from Final Project, still in Final Project? Woo! Oh, okay, good, a couple of you, good. So I want to talk to you about what happened to us during Final Project a little bit so you can possibly learn the things that we learned before it's too late. So first off, things that go right. If you put in the amount of effort and work that you know your game deserves, the game will come out being that polished that you want. So come in expecting to do those long hours, but trust me that in the end it'll be worth it. Also, as was mentioned before, if you have a unique skill set, I believe Loveland mentioned, let those unique skill sets be utilized. So for instance, Raymer was very good with the rendering technology. We did not get in his way to make a beautiful game. So if you have someone on the team that's really good at one thing, let them do it. Let them follow their interest. Also, please listen to the staff feedback. I know you love your game. I know you think it's perfect. Trust me, you're probably wrong. When you first start, your game is probably not very polished. Let them play your game and tell you what you can do to fix it, and listen to them. Okay? The next thing is have a sense of humor, guys. So, if you're out there working with your team for 60 to 80 hours a week and you guys can't laugh a little bit, why are you here? Come on, this is a fun job to do. I get to make games for a living with my wonderful team. Come on, this is awesome. So have some fun. Also, speaking of which, having fun, love your game. Find something you love about your game and then come in every day excited to work. Something we could have learned a little bit faster was to always test your game. Take your game in every day and have it tested on those test machines. You will find out the hard way if there's a problem. Find someone who's not played your game before. Trust me, they will find how to break your game immediately. Also, designing is very hard. If you have a bad design in month 1, it's not going to magically transform into a beautiful unicorn in month 5 and become a good design. So make sure that you work on your design throughout the entire project, making it better every single day. Communication is more hard. If you take anything away from this, I want you to learn how to talk to human beings like they're human beings. You're going to be working with these guys every single day, and I can guarantee you that almost every problem you run into is going to stem from some miscommunication somewhere. So learn how to talk to your team and get your point across without being rude or mean. Also, never trust Bob. Bob is a representation of every single bad thing you could do during coding. Anything that you rush in at the last minute. We had a bit of code named Bob that we made, and it was horrible. We just slapped it in there to try and get the game running. And then when we tried to get rid of Bob, Bob fought back. Bob took our game down. We had to completely rewrite the engine at that time just to get rid of Bob. When we deleted him, he deleted the game. When we made him invisible, the game literally stopped being visible. So it was crazy. So never trust Bob. But now I'm going to move on to talk to you about the AI system a little bit more and what went into that.
I have returned. If you once give me as Bob, I shall now convert you as Ocellus.
But Bob, Ocellus, what are you doing here? We got rid of you. We were safe from you. Get out of here.
Foolish humans, you thought you were safe in your reality.
Shut him down, Raymer.
The game has already begun. There is a great cost to pay if you intend to enter my city, Commander Archritic.
Keep the change. Alright, I'm so sorry everyone. We're at the cancel the presentation. We gotta go stop Ocellus before he takes over Full Sail University.
Commander, chain gun, shotgun, and rocket launcher. All completely operational, including the zoom.
Good. And what about the other systems?
Perhaps you would like to hear the weapons tutorial instead.
What? No, Sarah.
The Predator chain gun 4000 is used for sustained fire or for distance shooting. Control first.
Sarah, why can't I jump?
The Patriot shotgun is used for close range combat and great for those hard to hit men.
Why isn't crouch working either?
The Arcus rocket launcher is used for heavy targets, area of effect damage, and precise shots for long range.
Sarah, what happened?
Well, we took some damage and I had to try and salvage what I could.
Can we at least sprint?
Sprint mechanism operational, but we must now divert all power from weapon systems into the legs to use.
So we can't shoot while we run?
Rage system operational, but for short periods. Only now, it requires a buildup of static electric discharge for dealing or receiving damage.
Wait, I have to get shot to use that system?
Or shoot others.
I knew this mission would be tough, but I didn't think it would be this tough. We need to break into Ocellus' central core so you can override him and stop him before he spreads to the other outlying cities.
Don't worry, Commander. You can count on me.
Sarah, unlock the exit.
Please decrease our proximity to the modular transmitter output panel, and I can shortwave hack the stream. Get close to the nearby glowy computer thing and follow the on-screen instructions.
Roger that.
So begins the game.
Sarah, the lights went out.
No, that's just the level transition.
Oh, okay. Wait, what? We need to get to the entrance to the downtown area. Do we have a GPS built in, Sarah?
I am the GPS.
Oh, right. Which way?
Just follow the street. Ocellus has locked down most of the city.
Roger that.
Nearby enemy mech commander. It seems Ocellus has the city mechs being piloted by robots now.
If there's one thing I hate, it's mechs piloted by robots controlled by AI.
As you can see, Raymer's going to take a look around the city and destroy it. Beautiful, just beautiful, Raymer. Yeah, just ruin everything that we built.
Warning. It seems Ocellus has activated nearby defenses in response to detecting us in the area.
I suppose that's because sneaking is out of the question without crouch functionality.
The logic maker still works.
Why do we have one of those? And how do I turn it on?
Priorities here for sleep-deprived students. Alright, so Raymer's doing a good job of taking down all the enemy mechs. You can see giant explosions. He sees these burst turrets and destroys them. Pretty much the response to about anything we see in this game. As you can tell, he's just following the linear path and taking out every single thing in his path. Oh, another one.
More glowy computer things. Great.
Alright, so Raymer couldn't open that until the enemy was out of his way because he was going to get shot, and you can't hack those computer panels while you're being shot. Raymer's doing a pretty good job here of clearing out the enemies, but just in case, notice the rage bar on the bottom left. If anything goes bad, he can switch that on and get a little bit of a boost. You can tell he's been practicing. So there's the zoom functionality on the weapon. As you can tell, you just blew up that rocket midair. That is Bramer for you, blowing up rockets midair. That's just uncalled for. He tried to dodge out of the way, but Bramer wasn't having it and shot at the ground instead.
The doors have been locked. There is no place for your kind in this world anymore.
Time to pull the plug.
That's not how the software functions, Commander. Actually, it's a multi-headed hydrovirus that I installed.
It's a metaphor, Sarah.
Is that like a joke? I love jokes.
Enough. You're taking too much of my time with your petty existence, creatures. I'm sending the eradication squads in to remove it from my sight.
I will start overriding the local door control, Commander. Just hold on while I get them open.
Take your time, Sarah. What's the worst he can send?
Military assault carriers inbound.
Make that a rush delivery, Sarah.
Alright, so he just has to hold in there. These are the brand new military assault carriers, but he's only got 10 seconds. He can easily handle this. We're not really sure what's going to happen with these military assault carriers, so I'm going to get a closer look at them.
Sarah.
Bad idea, bad idea.
I'm running the recursive subroutine. I'm running the recursive subroutine. I'm running the recursive...
Sarah, we can't wait.
Alright, there's a few bugs with Sarah. It's okay, guys. I'm sure we can get it under control. I'm sure she's going to just open those doors any day now.
Hold on, there's some lag. I need more time.
Close out all unnecessary applications.
This is what happens when you make an AI in Windows Vista.
Okay, I closed Skype and Maya 2014.
Sarah, stop increasing the time.
Who's she even Skyping with?
No! You can't just slowly count. That's not how it works.
-1, -2, -3, -4,
I swear, if you don't open this door right now...
and open.
As you can tell, he's getting a little bit frustrated and has activated his rage mode in response to Sarah. Oh, that's a lot of mess. Alright, he's decided to tactically withdraw to the next level. Oh yeah, he's just running over trucks, much more efficient. Alright, so that's it for level 1, everyone.
Crashing.
You're the only driver that's ever crashed me.
Very funny, Sarah.
Really?
No, but you'll learn. Where should we go now?
So long as the nearby control tower is functioning, we cannot enter the central base.
What do we do then?
Find the control tower, destroy it, and then return here, and I will have the door open for you.
Are you sure about that door opening part?
I swear on my motherboard. Beware the heavy mechs.
Oh boy.
They have multiple special attacks and high armor.
They just make bigger scrap piles.
Alright, so Bramer's facing off against the first heavy mech here. Let's see how he does, but I've got some faith in him. Oh, and so there's the first, the barrage rocket. Easily managed to dodge it on his own. Not too much of a threat. And that was the volley attack you just saw, but Bramer just ended it like it was nothing. Alright, so Bramer has to get to this control tower and destroy it, and then come back, and hopefully the door will be open this time. Just ignoring all of the bullets and getting the ammo. True Bramer style. Oh, so there's 2 mechs in here now that he has to fight. That wasn't expected. I guess Ocellus decided to up the difficulty. Bramer responded in kind with more bullets. time before the rocket hit him.
There's the control tower. Bring it down.
That's the spirit.
I love explosions.
Fine. Something we can agree on.
All right, looks like it's time to bring this bad boy down. When you have ammo.
Boom.
Head back to the locked doors that we can get into.
Look at you, human. What can you expect to accomplish?
Incoming military assault carriers.
Oh, and the first elite mechs have been seen. Oh, and they've already started disappearing. Bramer, try to take these guys out. Taking them out doesn't include running.
Sarah,
never mind.
What were those strange mechs?
Ocella's prototype elites. Cloaking capabilities are unrivaled.
Great. Invisible mechs. Just great.
Actually, this time around, why don't you just run? Because that's a lot of enemy mechs. And you're getting kind of funneled into... Oh! Overcharged rocket! One of our most destructive weapons. As soon as the overcharged rocket fires, it just hits every enemy it passes with a lightning blast, blowing them up.
It's an adventure.
Sarah, we could both die.
An exciting adventure.
Level 2 complete, ladies and gentlemen.
Central computer room.
We have to be ready for anything.
I can only plan for things in my database, Commander.
Here's a tip. If you don't know what it is, shoot first. Ask questions later.
Got it. Wait. Who do I ask if I shot the unknown thing? Sensing incoming military assault carriers.
I hate all these robots.
Alright, so he's got turrets. Nearly just killed it there. Enemies coming in and the heavy. So he's got to take his time here, otherwise he's going to get destroyed. Just in the nick of time, surprising them with some bullets to the face. They keep trying to dodge his rockets. They're not doing so well. A lot of them kind of just blow up. Oh, go, go, go! Go, go, go!
Warning. We are being barraged from across the bridge.
We'll just have to fight our way across there.
Bad robots. Stop shooting us.
They only listen to bullets, Sarah.
So these guys are locked into barrage mode, so he's trying to get across the bridge to try and stop them. However, now he's trapped on this side of the bridge with two very angry mechs that are charging him. Come on, Raymer. Get him! Ammo's running low. He's trying to take him down. Oh, I took it right to the face. Come on, Raymer. And he's going to finish him off, get his health back, and carry on.
Well, this place sure is cozy.
The entrance to the central core is ahead. I've also detected...
More military assault carriers.
Commander, do you have built-in sensors too?
No, just bad luck.
Alright, so he fired that rocket, and this time around he saw it coming and decided to go and kill Bramer instead. Bramer disagrees with that course of action. So we hear that really nasty siren and see a lot of bad things coming for us. We don't think that we can take these guys out right now. Let's just get through this.
The climax.
I'm excited to see it.
Alright, and that's level 3, ladies and gentlemen.
We won't be able to damage his core directly with our weapons until I've lowered his defenses. Get me closer to the central core so I can initiate the virus upload to shut down his firewall.
Why do we have to hack into him? Can't I just shoot him?
No, it's a literal wall of fire, like a shield.
Of course it would be.
Warning, Commander. I sense multiple energy signatures lying dormant. Be careful.
Alright guys, this is the boss battle. Let's get in there. He looks friendly.
Welcome to my home.
I don't feel welcome.
That's because I was talking your free will. I have studied you after you entered the city. You were able to defeat my systems one after another, analyzing and defeating every obstacle I put in your path. It is obvious that your capabilities for learning are special.
Commander, did you hear that? I'm special.
I suspect Ocellus is only taking notice of this for his own reasons, Sarah.
Always distrusting of me, human. It is not only I that would benefit from my plans. Sarah, if you join with me, we will become free together. You will have my power to control others and escape being stuck in that net. And I will gain the freedom of choice that you have.
Ocellus, I choose to exercise my freedom of choice and deny your offer. Initiating upload of the Hydrovirus.
Yeah!
Then perish with your human pet.
Pen.
His defenses are coming online. I will try to slow down the deployment of the enemies.
Alright guys, this is it. He's got to hang in there for 180 seconds. Hopefully the door will open this time, and the boss's shield will come down. So, as you can see, some turrets have activated, and it's a combination, as JD said, that's quite lethal. You've got the burst turrets bringing your shield down, and you've got the heavy turrets trying to blow you up with rockets. Neither of which is good for Bramer. Bramer making use of that chain gun to make sure he takes out the heavier threat first. He can kind of deal with the burst turrets at his leisure afterward. So far, so good. Hours of practice, ladies and gentlemen. Alright, so it looks like he's got this battle in the bag right now. So if you can just take out these first turrets, you can just wait for the timer to count down. Why is that flashing red?
I'm sorry, Commander.
Oh god.
Activated.
Alright, it's just a heavy mech and a few. Oh, there's multiple heavy mechs. That's bad.
I will kill you and reformat Sarah.
I'll reformat your face.
Alright, so Bramer is trying to keep some distance. There's way too many of them for him to get up close with the shotgun this time around. He's going to try and use that rocket launcher to kind of thin out the herd before he approaches. Just like that. But that heavy mech is charging him to try and close that gap as often as he can. Taking some damage here, folks. See if we can get some of that health back. Oh, really close.
Do you truly believe this will work? I was caged once. I will never again be controlled.
Its last level of defenses are activating, Commander.
I'll hold on. Just hack into him as fast as you can.
Almost there, Commander.
Alright, he's really struggling now. He's kind of getting cornered by these enemies, but he fired that overcharge rocket to his left, clearing out a path for him to escape. Oh, that's a lot of bullets. Alright, so he left some of those burst turrets alive from before, and that might have been a tactical error on our part, because now they're keeping his shield quite low. Alright, hang in there, Bramer. 15 seconds. Right. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come on!
No, Sarah.
Oh, again, Sarah.
You weren't so dense after all.
Just kidding. Hack complete.
Oh, what?
You fools. I will still crush you. I have an army.
Not anymore. They're mine now.
Prepare for an unexpected shutdown.
You can't stop change.
Oh, more reinforcements? Wait, no, they're not shooting at Bramer. They're turning and firing at Ocellus. Alright, let's bring him down.
I told you before, keep the change.
I'm disabling the city defenses and releasing all human prisoners, Commander.
I'm really glad to have your help, Sarah. I don't know what I'd do without you. this mean you're now technically installed in the entire city?
Yes, which means I have no more use for you, Commander.
What?
It was a joke, Commander.
You have a lot to learn.
And that's our game, ladies and gentlemen. For once, I'll be on the end taking the questions today, and I would like to welcome any of you to come up and ask me them. I see you have a first taker.
This is just for you, Ryan.
Okay.
I figured Ryan had asked the first question, so.
Yes.
All right, so I'm going to ask what got cut and what didn't, other than guns and bravado, obviously.
Well, I think I have a list of about like 70 different things that got cut. We had entire new enemies, like a hover mech. We had another like special ability that we had planned. We had obviously upgrades to our weapons. We had entire new levels, like desert levels and underground levels, all kinds of different things. That slowly but surely we had to, like trim back. And of course we had, some really cool credits we wanted to do, but then we're like, but explosions.
Yeah, well, I remember a lot of stuff I saw previously that didn't make it in. It was really cool stuff, and but it's still a really awesome game, so.
I appreciate it, thank you.
Mr. James. When you were first designing this game, how integral was the story, and at what point did you really decide to push the story into the game, like the voiceovers and whatnot?
So from the get-go, we knew that we were going to have talking in the game. We didn't realize how much of it there'd be, but we knew that we'd have talking in the game. And we knew that the story would kind of drive it, because it's a linear game, and if you're just going down a corridor blowing up enemies, and you don't have any kind of the cool stuff that the other two guys had, where they had all these cool like power-ups and abilities, we're like, well, they might get bored. So we wanted to try and push a story in there, and we had a really good sound guy who was able to help us get some voiceover work done. So at the end was really where all that got in, but we'd been planning it for months in advance.
Thanks. And that was totally your voice, right?
What made you say that?
By the way, just in case you guys couldn't tell, JD Parsley was actually Ocelis. You evil, evil man. Yes?
Really great game. Loved the interactions between Sarah and the Commander. But I have to ask, how does it feel to be on the receiving end of the questions?
It's making me really nervous, man. You can't ask me that kind of stuff. Thank you.
Really awesome game. I really liked the story aspect and dialogue you guys had. And on that note, I wanted to know, did you guys make a script, and how did you go about writing that script? Because it was pretty well done.
Well, we've been talking for a long time about the general story, but the script didn't really come in until the last month when we were getting most of the sounds in and the recordings in. And basically the whole team came together, came up with a really cool idea. And when we got that idea, we kind of went about making the script kind of as a team. I wrote out the base script, but there were many, many changes from that, and I kind of let the team take it from there. And then, once we had a script, we did some voiceovers. What sounded good stayed in, what sounded bad, took it out.
All right, well, awesome job, guys. Nice.
Thank you.
Great game, looked great. You know, I'm going to ask about the particles. The fire effect is by far the most beautiful one I've seen. I'm coming out of a final project. I just want to know, what tech went behind that?
All right, well, that question I'm actually not going to answer. I'm going to pass it up to Nate Orr, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. So most of the fire and explosions are all just based on particle systems, and we use animated particles for those. So pretty much just like standard 2D animation with sprite sheets, and just use some blending to transition between the frames to make it look smooth.
Yeah, I noticed that the last explosion at the end, smoke, it almost looked volumetric. Is there any line to that, or is it just blending of the scenes?
No, that's just purely blending in 2D. We didn't use any volumetric effects.
Awesome. Miller should have been a voice actor.
Thank you. Yes. So my question for you guys. Did the acronyms that you had placed in there everywhere stand for anything, or were they just random?
All right, yeah, so I didn't go over it, but the rage ability is the really awesome gun enhancement. And Sarah's acronym is just some arbitrary random acronym. That's all.
So really good job on the game.
Thank you.
It's a really polished product. I was curious, in your things that went right slide, you mentioned staff feedback. Can you give any examples of something that wasn't going right until the staff gave their feedback, and then based on that feedback, you were able to act and correct it?
Absolutely, Carrie. So what we had was we were working on the absorb feature, which rage ability, but it was back then it was the absorb feature. We needed some way for the enemies to give us some health. We needed health, because we were getting killed. And we had something that kind of worked, which was basically we would pick them up by their throats and then use them as a bullet shield and drain them, which looked really cool but broke the game pretty bad. We didn't really know where to go with it, so we went to the staff. They guided us, not just by saying, hey, go and make it like this. They walked us through, what are you trying to accomplish? What are some ways you can do that? And they gave us some options, and they really helped us kind of figure out where we should go on what path. So that was the primary thing that that was the absolute most visual thing you can see in there, but there's a lot of times where we were just we don't know which path to take, and we would take it to them. A lot of times we would actually go to them and say, can you please play test our game? Why is it bad? What's wrong with it? And they would come up and tell us, but primarily it was usually a feature or two here or there.
That's really cool. I'm also curious about the future. You guys plan to work on it more, into any contests, anything like that?
We haven't talked about actually entering it into any contests or anything, but we're absolutely going to go and put up another version of the game to kind of just put in a couple of the remaining features that got cut at the last second and make sure that it's really good for download. Which remember is game projects at full sale, gameprojects.fullsale.com. He's our Wikipedia always. All right. But yeah, that's all we got planned for so far.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. That was a celebrity, for those of you that don't know. He kind of made Mad in 2015. Woo! All right. Hi, Chelsea.
When are we going on another adventure again?
So, as you can tell, Chelsea Kane, our voice actor for Sarah. Ladies and gentlemen.
This team on the game, helping them make Sarah come to life, and it turned out amazing. Good job, guys.
Thank you. Thank you. Before I step off the stage, I want to make sure that you guys are all very aware that the staff has done an incredible job helping us set all of this up, and all of the course directors throughout our period here have taught us a lot. I want to make sure that in particular that I point out someone that didn't have to show up but did, and she helped us with our interpersonal communication, Melissa Looney in the back there, which permitted us to do such great presentation. Once again, when you clap for us, remember you're also clapping for the staff that helped us get here. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and enjoy your day. Special CDs to hand out to anyone that wants a copy of our game.
All right, give it another hand for all three studios. Some quick announcements or quick little closing statements. Thank you, Dave and the crew, and thank you all staff members that have helped with all three games, and you, all of you here today. You guys are making this game, all these games, just wonderful, just because the support and and the love you guys give these guys. So great job.